My brother tore up months of my Chinese study materials in our backyard, scattering the pieces while I cried. When I tried to stand up for myself, he pointed at me and said, "Starting tomorrow, you'll be spending your nights in a diner." I just stared at him. That was 6 months ago. This morning, he was standing outside my apartment in tears. My older brother said I was mocking his disability by learning a second language, and our parents took his side. Growing up, my brother Bryce was always this extremely happy kid with an extremely low IQ. He'd laugh about spelling his name wrong and make fun of himself for still taking Algebra 1 in senior year. But then he failed to even graduate. Suddenly, he became convinced that intelligence was his enemy, and anyone learning something was mocking him. Our grandmother used to play these brain-training games on our computer, and Bryce turned it off right as she was hitting her high score. He even binned our 7-year-old cousin's Scrabble set that she got for Christmas after losing to her. And when I started learning Chinese to impress my crush, I became his next target. I tried to be understanding at first. I wouldn't practice in front of him and watch the videos with headphones on, but that wasn't enough. He'd heard my Duolingo notifications and start breaking into tantrums, saying I was showing off to make him feel stupid. I tried explaining it was for a girl, but he insisted foreign languages were my way of rubbing my working brain in his face. Soon, he started isolating parts of the house. The living and dining rooms became a Chinese-free zone, because that's where he needed to decompress after his shift as the door opener at Kroger. I was a little annoyed, but just moved everything to my bedroom. Door closed, headphones on. Surely this was now fine and I could practice my Chinese in peace, right? Wrong. Before I knew it, Bryce started documenting my study sessions in a headache journal, claiming the Chinese that was coming through the walls triggered migraines. He'd text Mom pictures of himself holding his head when I was practicing. I told him I was using headphones and just writing, not even speaking, but he said just knowing that I'm mocking his disabilities was triggering, and because Bryce was my parents' special little boy, they took his side. Dad pulled me aside and said, "Your brother has challenges you'll never understand. Is impressing some girl really worth making him feel worthless?" Mom was even worse. She acted like I was torturing him on purpose, suggesting I learn Chinese at the library because family comes first, and will knowing a few phrases really be the difference between getting rejected and her saying yes. I tried to stand my ground, but before I knew it, I was sitting in our back garden learning Chinese because it was the only way Bryce felt included. But I actually liked the garden. It was springtime, meaning it got warm, and the sound of wind made me focus better. But then Bryce got fired from his job as door opener. It was the only job he'd ever held. He stormed into the back garden the day of and started tearing my printouts apart. I tried to push him away, but he was 6 inches taller and 5 years older and knocked me to the ground. He destroyed all my material right there on the spot. I was still outside crying when I heard him inside the house arguing with Mom. "It's his fault I lost the job, Mom. The joke I made at the Chinese customer was because of the Chinese he's learning." I saw Mom hesitating, but then minutes later she was coming out. "Bryce is right, honey. Your crush isn't worth destroying your brother's livelihood." I stared at her in disbelief as she knelt down and helped me pick up what was left of my material. All forms of Chinese studying were now banned from our living area during Bryce's waking hours. "It's okay," Mom said. "You can practice from 5 to 6 a.m. before school." I remember waking up at 4:45 a.m. for the next 3 days, sitting at the table learning through my apps. I was sleep deprived and my head hurt from staring at the screen in darkness. Lights on anywhere in the house before waking time triggered Bryce. And on day 4, Bryce had a complete meltdown at breakfast. Apparently, now just knowing I was learning Chinese while he slept gave him nightmares about being too stupid to exist. He demanded I leave the house entirely if I wanted to practice. "Go to that 24-hour diner if Chinese matters so much," he said. My parents barely looked up from their plate. I could tell they were content to be just bystanders. "Starting tomorrow, you'll be—" Bryce was speaking as if it was already determined I'd be spending my nights in a diner. I cut him off mid-sentence. "Shut up, I'm not going!" He stared at me like I had multiple heads. "What did you just— Do you have any idea why I'm learning Chinese?" I cut him off again. "Yeah, it's for that little crush of yours." "Not just that," I said, with this look that I could tell made him skeptical. I raised my voice. "This was never about making you feel stupid, Bryce." "Yes, it— Would you listen for once in your life?" I interrupted for the 3rd time now. "Lynn's dad owns a gaming company," I said. My voice was shaking. "He literally only hires family friends because he trusts them more than random applications. You sit here every single night saying you'd kill for a gaming job, talking about how you know every game, every developer, every piece of industry news." Bryce's face was changing. "If I dated Lynn, you'd be at family dinners. You'd be at barbecues. Her dad would meet you, see how passionate you are about gaming, and probably offer you something. But now," I looked him straight in the eyes, "now I'm never mentioning your name. And when her dad asks about my family, which he will, I'm telling him exactly what kind of person my brother is. Someone who'd rather destroy my first